A continuación, vamos a por la última charla de esta mañana y tengo el placer de presentar a una de las referentes más influyentes en el sector del food design, con experiencia investigando y definiendo qué es y cuál es su potencial para diseñar un presente y un futuro mejor para todos. I would like to introduce next to Francesca Zampollo, one of the main references that influence the food design sector, researching on the field, exploring what it is, and what its potential to create a better present and future for all. Francesca Zampollo, she defines herself as a future optimist stargazer working on the Earth's evolution through unity. She is the founder and chief inspiration at the online school of food design. And as a great Italian, she loves pizza. Welcome, Francesca. It's a pleasure having you today. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Nicole. I find it so appropriate that you have been chosen to introduce me to this presentation. Nicole is basically this year one of the most important people in my work life. So, because some of you might have heard that we have launched the online School of Food Design summer version. Most of it is thanks to Nicole Vindel and Josh LCP from Food Design Nation. So perfect that you are introducing this talk. Thank you so much. And thank you to those who thought of it.
Thanks to you.
Okay, so let me just do these. Some things backstage. And so in this presentation that I have for you today, you'll hear nothing new. Nothing of what I have to give today is new. But what I'll share with you is what I have inside today, this past week, or the last couple of years, actually. Speaking to this event is to me a great honor. There are so many talented, inspiring people in this field, full of richness to share. Many of these are listening right now, and most of them will be listed through the next few days. So I take this space that I've been given very seriously. I'm filled with gratitude, but what's the best way for me to use this space, this moment that I've been given? To be honest with you, for me, it's not the time today, this year, to show you a list of beautiful food design projects. For me, it's not the time today to share my insights on food design thinking as well. Today, I'm going to share with you a small part, a less than 1 hour version of how I see things in the world of food design. Today, I feel I just have to be honest, and maybe that's the best way for me to show gratitude for this space that I've been given. So my intention with this presentation is to let you inside my mind and my heart and give you my perspective on design and designing today. So you hear nothing new, but what you hear have been carefully wrapped for you in a combination that is hopefully going to make you think. My intention with this presentation is to simply make you think. So let's begin. Andrea, you can put up the slides. Thank you. To start off, the title of this presentation will arrive at the end. So you see a nice first slide over there. It would make little sense for me to show you the title now, and so bear with me, it will come later. The thing that I have to share with you, I have packed around a simple phrase that we are all familiar with: buy less, buy local, buy better. But when I read these, what I actually see is a shift of responsibility. What I see is design less, design local, and design better. Design less, so we start with design less, and it's going to have 3 parts. And the first one is to simply design less stuff. Simply put, there's too much stuff everywhere. We don't need more stuff. have you ever asked yourself, what's the amount of waste created each year? It's 300 million tons of municipal solid waste each year. And we have that number. But what's the number of products designed and produced each year? Nobody knows. Isn't that interesting? That so many statistics are made on waste and nothing is made on production and designing? Because guess what? Everything that is thrown away has been designed by somebody like me and you. So this is what I mean when by us needing a shift in perspective, shifting the responsibility from the consumer to the designer, because we are those who create new stuff, whether it's products or services. Something wasn't there, we arrive and it's there. We created it. But in terms of design less, nothing really new here. Waste reduction is the #1 priority suggested by all, or source reduction is the #1 priority suggested by all big sustainability organizations, like the Environmental Protection Agency, where this image comes from. So nothing really new there. We just have to try and remember it. We food designer, when we are asked to design something, right there is our opportunity to make a choice. Should I or should I not? Because from big powers come great responsibilities.
Living in a world where you're constantly bombarded with trends and consumerism, it's easy to fall into that trap because people, they believe wearing that Gucci jeans is gonna let them walk better, or having the latest iPhone, they'd be able to speak louder, or wearing 100,000 Rand watch and wearing a 100 Rand watch. It's gonna tell you the same time. They work hard for that thing, and then when they get it, they enjoy it for 5 minutes, and then that feeling's gone.
What I mean is that from what I see, in the actual designing of food specifically, we should probably design less. Somehow, in the name of convenience very often, we have started to over-designing food. And with food, it's just unbelievable how clearly this has negative consequences on people and on the planet. It's just super clear. So let me just give you an example. Food. On one side, we have food with zero designing by human beings. Some could say that nature has always been the best designer we could ever have. On the other side, food with lots of designing by human beings, right? For the food on the right, we design the flavors, shapes, texture, packagings. There is a lot of processing and manufacturing, of which we design every aspect. There is transportation of ingredients and components and products themselves, etc., etc. Now, just by looking at these, just visually, and thinking about the human body, what immediately comes to mind is food as medicine and food that causes illnesses, right? We can generally say that for many, many food products, not all of them, of course, but for many, many food products, the amount of designing is directly proportional to how not good it is for the human body. Just go into any average supermarket and look around you and tell me what percentage of food is completely 100% good for your body. If it is in a packaging, whatever packaging, is designed to last. And if it is designed to last, it just goes against nature. So changes are every change that we make to this stuff has consequences to our body. And chances are that the changes that we make to this food is done with ingredients that our body would be perfectly happy without, maybe happier without. And to demonstrate this, I've devised the silliest example I could think of. Look at what happens if you Google food as medicine. There. Look at all of this greenery, the nature stuff, zero design from a human being. Look at what happens instead when you Google food that is not good for the body. Lots of designing, ingredients transforms. Here there's a lot of processing, a lot of transporting things from one place to the other, lots of packaging. Here there's a lot of bad design too. This is exactly what not caring at all for your consumers looks like to me, or the planet for that matter. This is all designed to be cheap and convenient. This is two big concepts, cheap and convenient. These have been ingrained in user-centered design, I think, for too long. And it's not just about the body. We can also say, generally again, that it applies to our planet too. The more manipulation, the more designing we do to food and products, ingredients, packaging, transportation, etc., the more of a negative impact the product has on the human body, on the environment, and on the planet.
It's almost a spiritual experience. I don't mean to sound grand about it, but it takes you into another world once you get involved in it.
I like the idea of planting it and just taking it straight from the ground and eating it. The produce is 100 times better. You realize what supermarkets are actually selling. I've got raspberries and you taste them. They bring me back to my childhood.
So, hey, I'm just making a point here. It's like I can hear what some of you are thinking. Well, not all industrial mass-produced products are bad for the environment or the human body. I know of many, etc., etc. So yes, I know there are exceptions to everything. What I'm saying is that generally, for most of the food products you see out there, in your everyday life, in your local supermarkets, I'm not talking about what you see online, on Instagram, on Design Magazine, this view applies. In fact, the good news is that we already have a lot of small companies out there that are designing less. A lot of small companies that we can learn from. For example, AHA Pure Food, they literally treat food as medicine and create products that can be used as medicine. Actually, the inspirational story in their About page is really worth having a look at. Capao is a brand that makes snacks and completely overlooked cacao pulp. And then Namlie, I can't not make an example about them. These ladies make jams with basically just fruit, but with intention. That is, in each jar of jam, care for biodiversity, cultural heritage, and lots of meaning. One of the two founders, Aya Shaban, actually will be presenting on Friday, I believe at 6 p.m. And so I urge you to go and have a look at her presentation, and I urge you to go and look at everything that Aya and Manal do. And they might be here watching, actually, so hello to them. So these are just, 3 examples, but we can certainly get lots of inspiration from many small companies doing big things in the world. But let me repeat something here so that I can make sure that you heard what I said. There are a lot of small companies doing big things for the world. Show me any of these guys doing something that is half as good as smaller companies can do. And little disclaimer, just in case some of you are thinking in that lane, here for designing less, I mean designing less product and doing less designing to the products themselves. What we should do instead, I believe, is to shift the designing from products to the system. If tomorrow we all stop designing products with the extremely narrow view that that implies, and we started the process of designing actual systems, sorry, or how to intervene in a set system, we would all do great things. And if you're thinking, excuse me, well, I'm in the business, if I'm in the business of industrial food products, then I have to design food products. I have to make products that last, that are packaged, that travel, etc. And my answer to you is, do you really have to? Remember, from big powers come big responsibility, and it's your choice. You can indeed design anything you want to or need to, but you don't have to. And if you're thinking, well, it's easy for you to say, I work for a company, I have a boss, I have to comply. Again, do you? But guess what? I actually respect any of my fellow human beings' choices, truly. You have been designed with free will implanted in you, so go for it. My role here is to make you think, to shake things up within you. That's it. So to summarize this point, good design is as little design as possible. The third part of design less is designing less. I suggest we should just design less, just less. Just design less everything, less design, less designing. But here I take a business perspective. So let's just sit down for a moment. Let's just sit down. Let's just breathe. I want to talk to you about the difference between wealth and prosperity. Prosperity is an entirely different phenomenon from wealth. To prosper, all a human being needs is a little more than enough. Whereas to be wealthy, it means to have a lot more than enough. Wealth, by this definition, is formed out of the need of scarcity, of security, which, if you think about it, is an illusion. Scarcity is an illusion because planet Earth is all about abundance. Look around you. There's more than enough for everyone if we just use well what we have. So from a business perspective, where design, the way we here intended, mostly operates, wealth is connected to the urgency the companies seem to have towards designing for growth, financial growth specifically, more and more growth, more and more money. This thirst to achieve more and more, to obtain more and more. I'm sure you know that this is the fuel that has advanced our civilization. But today it's called greed. And it refers to the desire to accumulate more material. Prosperity, on the other hand, is about having just more than enough. Enough will be different for everybody. It will be different in every country. And it can be different for the same person in different moments of her or his life. Each person knows what enough is for her or him. Prosperity is having everything you need and a bit more for comfort. Because what else do you need? Everything more than that, you put back into the system. You make circulate again. A circular economy. Rings any bell? It can be an approach towards money too. So let me give you an example. I have a friend who works for a company that has created and manages basically an app that offers an English learning service. But instead of learning through the app itself, like Duolingo, etc., you learn through in-person, one-to-one lessons with a native speaker, a professional teacher. And he told me how last week during a meeting, the head managers were saying how happy they were because last year the company grew a lot and made $100 million revenue. And my friend told me, that's great. But in the meantime, our teachers are making $5 an hour after taxes. So why don't companies like these at some point say, okay, we have more than enough. This year, we're going to invest the same as last year in marketing, let's say, because marketing is important and it's the core of most of these businesses. And that amount of money made us grow this much this year. And with what is left, we are going to increase the salary of our teachers, plural, because they are the face of our company and their happiness should be our highest priority. This is another way to say, let's share our wealth with people, starting from the people in our company, so we can all be prosperous. Wealth is in the hand of few, prosperity can be shared. Can you imagine the energy released by a few thousand people working for that company, all living in prosperity? Wow. Can you imagine if we all on this planet lived in prosperity?
You can spend your life out there trying to make a lot of money, always saying that one day I'm going to have a lot of money and enjoy myself. By the time one has money to burn, the fire will have died out.
Lots of people, they believe that adding material value to their life improves their well-being. But that's not what life is all about.
So prosperity seems to be a pretty good concept to put in our vocabulary. And maybe if we designers, business owners, inventors, visionaries, start think about our work and future in terms of prosperity rather than wealth, having a bit more than enough, and let's circulate the rest, maybe we would create our own path for a better life, a more fulfilled life. And one fulfilled life is contagious, like a smile. Others pick up on it and change propagates. So this is what I think when I consider the concept design less in general. Because design is indeed associated with businesses. And a business is associated with growth and wealth and going up and always up and up, relentlessly fighting to achieve who knows what. Whereas I'm starting to think that maybe when my business gives me prosperity, I can relax, I can sit, I can breathe. My creativity, the joy of creating and giving to others will still be the fire burning in me, but I'll do all of that with a smile, and a smile is contagious.
What do you need to live comfortably and happily? You need a small roof over your head. You need to catch some rainwater. You need a toilet system that works. These are very simple things. 5 years ago, Emma and I were living in England and had decided to change our lives, to try and do something different that we felt wasn't so much part of the problem, and rather work towards living in a way that was part of the solution. People come in and they see trees right in the center of your living space. They come in and they see seedlings. They see a wood-burning stove. They don't see any fridges. Often it's what people don't see that seems to appeal to them. Where's your fridge? Where's your TV? Where are your appliances? We actively chose not to have those things because in having those things, you continue the cycle of consumption that is a real problem for life on this planet. We are learning more and more that there is no somewhere else. Somewhere else is the neighbors. Somewhere else is the settlement down the road.
So we've looked at designing less, and now it's time to design local. Here is pretty simple. It's the story of the avocado that has to travel 9,000 kilometers to get to, let's say, Spain, and to end up deliciously in my salad or toast. Guys, there's no way around it. This makes no sense. Regardless of how much we all love avocados, it makes no sense. let's just use design to find some other fruit or vegetables that we grow here in Europe, for example, and let's make those become the new avocado or as trendy as avocados. And who knows, maybe in the process, we also stop contributing to deforestation, destruction of ecosystems, climate change, and funding drug cartels. Designing local is about designing using what you have around. We all know the benefit of that. And again, it's not just about buying local, consumers making 0 miles choices. It's about us designers choosing to design local. And here is the most difficult part, selling local, which means selling to our community, city, maybe country, and maybe besides that, no, because the impact on the environment would be too much. Would we be able to give that up? Well, maybe if you are not, maybe not if we are after wealth, but possibly if we are happy with prosperity. Unless maybe you open up a branch of your company in another country, you design slightly different products based on that locality in terms of natural resources and workplace and sell there. But in terms of design less, I also think that think in terms of the design process itself. I would want to urge designers to design starting from where they are. Whatever your project is, product, services, just stop. Consider where you are located geographically, culturally. Consider the people you have around. Consider the resources you have access to, and design based on where you are. So if you are in Mongolia, design for Mongolians, design for Mongolia. If you have the advantage of actually being there, you can learn and absorb. What's the point of a designer in Santiago de Chile to design for the Japanese marketing? We might take this for granted, but I don't really. So it's like a Danish designer to design something that will reach all of Europe, or a designer from anywhere in the world to design something that will reach the whole world. Or the Danish guy is a European guy, right? So he can design for Europe. And the other guy is a human being from planet Earth, so he can design for human beings anywhere in the world. But maybe this doesn't mean that because I am a person, I can design for somebody living on Sirius B or around Sirius B, right? So me and the other guy living in a planet on another solar system are both people, alien to one another, but we're both people, so I can definitely design for somebody else, for another person, even if in the other side of the galaxy, right? Where does it end? So through the years, I've come to realize that the best design comes from people who design for the place where they are. As designers, we think that since we have the tools, the design methods, since we have design thinking to help us empathize with people, we can design for anyone on Earth. And we can, indeed. I argue, though, that the best design comes from where we don't need to empathize with others, but just use empathy to look around and find and gather a small or big group of people who feel what we feel and think what we think. For example, we could consider Liberty Kitchen, a food service provider. They have a food stall, a restaurant, and a catering business. They employ only prisoners, ex-prisoners. This is not the only business like this, there are many, but the point is that this type of business, this business particularly, came from the connection with the prison in that city and the personal relationship with those people. And therefore, its location is what gives it strength. And actually, the head chef and the employees actually also co-design recipes. The Real Junk Food Project is another example of designing locally. because here there was somebody seeing the problem of food waste in their own daily life. There was the immediate connection with a few supermarkets around, and getting in touch with them and creating this connection for creating this new business was therefore easy. And I want to mention again Namlier, because this company is in Jordan, right? Well, the ingredients of their products, their jams, are all from Jordan. But Aya and Manal also travel the country up and down, and they meet their suppliers. They meet the people they work with in various projects. They build friendship with those people. And this connection to the land and to the people in it is not only the reason why this company is so successful, but if that wasn't enough, is also the actual reason why their jam tastes so good. So we have lots of good examples of these deeper sense of empathy. These are just 3 examples. There are many around the world, luckily. But since we are talking about empathy, I cannot ignore this. Amazon new wristband. So if you haven't heard, Amazon has patented a bracelet that tracks employees' location and movements at all times. It also nudges you via vibration when it judges that you're doing something wrong. It can see for how long you've been to the bathroom and for how long you've been scratching your head. I mean, where was empathy there? Do you want me to believe that this bunch of designers sat down around the table and said, oh yes, I would love to wear something like that at work myself. This is a great idea. I mean, empathy. It's about putting yourself in other people's shoes. It's the most basic design principles we have all been taught in design school. Empathy is the foundation of all of it today. User-centered design, human-centered design, UX, design thinking. I mean, everybody in this field knows about empathy. Where was empathy in that room when that bracelet was designed? There are worse things in the world, I understand. There's violence, kidnapping, stealing, slavery, I understand this. But this is supposed to have come from a design process. That's why I take it so personally. I live and breathe design processes. That's what I do. So maybe either this is an excellent example of forgetting to use empathy, of forgetting to use your humanity, of forgetting to use your heart, or maybe even forgetting to use your brain. Or a company like Amazon doesn't use the design process. And the thing is that I can imagine this bracelet having been designed in the name of efficiency. And I love efficiency. Efficiency is great. We all need efficiency. But efficiency is also pursued often in the name of growth, and therefore wealth. And wealth for whom? I bet it's not the wealth of the people who are actually in wealth. So yet again, wealth and prosperity. Wealth is in the hands of few, prosperity can be shared. So good design, as we saw in these 3 examples, happens because real empathy is given the space to surface. And to me, real empathy is not what most design theorists tell us. It's not just about learning what other people think and do, and therefore need. To me, good design happens when I, the designer, am personally invested in the outcome. Real empathy is about me not only feeling what the users think and feel, but when I am the user, when I design for things I need or believe in. This is the way I look at design local. I think that we should start from us, designers. We should start from us. Let's look around our lives. Let's design for the needs we have and for the principles we believe in, not for the things happening on the other side of the planet or the galaxy. This is a completely new way of looking at empathy. It's huge. And I don't use design thinking to listen to others and empathize with them and empathize with what they feel and think. But here I use empathy as my own guiding concept, a compass, to find the people I resonate with, to find that group of which I am one, and which will be my target user. So when it comes to design local, I think of the immediate geographical and cultural surrounding of the designer herself. There is where I think good design is easier to create.
It all comes and goes.
Today, people are born in the city. They've never seen this thing of being in nature, growing your food. So somebody has to create a new consciousness.
All these roads, all these roads, all these...
Sometimes you see people are totally disconnected. No link. Then the psychologist is necessary, the psychiatrist is necessary, everybody is necessary to make this person. Then they patch you.
How do you say?
Working with the soil, watching the plants growing is the best connection.
Next to me, I found you by the old tree.
I mean, in doing things like this for yourself, you find enrichment, you find abundance. By nature, actually everything is totally in abundance. It's funny that.
Oh, let's run away and not know where we are going to. Let's go far today and it's all gonna be fine.
And finally, we've done design less, we've done design local, and it's time for design better. Are you ready for this? So let me show you this. Bear with me for a moment. Design historians have shown us that how modernity put emphasis on practical meanings, on understanding and controlling the natural environment, and on utilitarian matters. This corresponds primarily, I hope you see my mouse here, primarily to the physiological needs and safety needs. Postmodernity puts emphasis on social meanings, human rights, and issues of social concern and justice. And it corresponds to the two higher levels of insights on the traditional worldview and personal meaning. Belonging, love, and esteem. Finally, the profound insights of the traditional worldview is on personal meanings concerning inner development, spiritual growth, and ultimate meaning. And it corresponds to the higher level of human needs, self-actualization. From this, we can see clearly and we can learn that what we inherited from our ancestors down through the ages is that to thrive and to find fulfillment, we must concentrate on more than practical consideration. And not just that, but also on more than social relationships and matters of social justice. It is for this reason that if we consider the threefold concept of sustainability, environmental sustainability, economic sustainability, and social sustainability, we might have to add a fourth corner, spiritual sustainability. All great traditions of this planet, all great teachers and philosophers and thinkers we've had tell us and teach us that we all have inside of us a flame that pushes us to seek meaning Most of us have felt it many times in our lives. Some of you might be feeling it right now. Actually, some of us might be feeling it right now. That sense of burning curiosity to figure out who we are and what we are here to do. The drive for inner development and self-examination. That simple will to figure life out, to finally give ourselves to it completely. Why are we talking about spirituality now, here? Well, my friends, because spirituality is not related to religion necessarily, first of all. Religion can be considered one possible outcome or path of spirituality, but spirituality is also completely independent from religion. For once, because it's innate in some degree to every human being. We're talking about spirituality here because it refers to a wide range of ideas, experiences, practices that are considered life-enhancing and related to human well-being, in the business we are all in. Spirituality is also closely associated with relationship, peace, joy, justice, and a unified sense of body and soul. These are all things we design for. So when we talk about designing better, I see two different directions. Since design is done by a designer, by a person, or a group of people, of course, there is first an inside to outside flow. The designer designs for the outside world, from the inside. It designs on values, beliefs, dreams, aspirations, journeys, to the outside, the world and other people. In this sense, the designer can design following sustainability principles, such as we said, relationship, peace, joy, justice, and the unified sense of body and soul. But there is also another direction, because spirituality is also about imagination. And guess what? Creativity. The act of creating is a spiritual act. Creativity, the thing that we designers leverage on and use every day, has everything to do with spirituality. So in this sense, since design is done by a person going through a creative process, that is an outside to inside direction happening. The designer perceives, learns, thinks, ponders, creates, and indeed changes. Every project you have ever worked on has changed you, regardless of how imperceptibly. For the simple reason that through the design process, you have used your resources and beliefs, who you are as a human being, to make choices. And choices shape us. I believe we should recognize this dynamic and consciously embrace it for a new type of designing. Well, new, maybe not new, nothing is really new here. But I believe that for those of us who don't already do it, we could start designing being aware of this inside process that we go through. We all have in life an outer active life and an inner spiritual life, all of us. Finding harmony between these two in everything we do can be the way to find meaning, fulfillment, and attain our full potential. And for us designers, since our job, or should I say calling or passion, is creating new propositions and solutions that at the end of the day we want to do to make life better, then awareness on the spiritual components of our daily work activity could be the next natural step for our development as human souls. For this reason, I propose designing-centered design. And this is the title of my presentation today. A way of designing that brings the attention to the role of the designer, that is centered on the actual act of designing. Designing as a process to design better for others and designing as a process of self-actualization. How does it work? Well, those sudden insights, those aha moments that we crave in our creative life, this spontaneous inner understanding are an intimate part of the art of contemplation. In doing this, in pursuing this aha moment, empirical approaches, scientific inquiry, specific techniques are not really useful. Contemplation, on the other hand, is an integrative and immersive process whose outcomes are unpredictable and uncertain. A spiritual practice is not pursued through reasoning or discursive analytic thoughts or knowledge. All we have to do is observe, sit, wait. It's a process that requires time. And if you think about it, it triggers a type of creativity that is quite the opposite of what we have been used to see in design thinking. That's why I believe that design thinking and contemplation, maybe through designing-centered design, should be at least complementary. There's still much research to be gathered from all people doing all sorts of things, calling them other ways, but all doing the same thing. And this is something I won't be doing alone, and I haven't been doing alone. But designing-centered design aims at consciously working on spiritual sustainability. Whether a designer chooses to work on inside to outside work or on outside to inside work. So for now, what I'm proposing is a gently guided creative process infused with contemplation. In about 2 weeks, I'm going to start a series of meetings where designers can come and with their own brief or intention, which can be related to a design process, problem, or insight, or with personal topics to work on. And together we'll use inspiration and simple contemplative techniques mixed with design thinking techniques to use creativity in a new way. Actually, we'll be just observing creativity happen when it wants and if it wants. This will be done in groups, and we'll use discussion, which is going to be optional, to make sense of our experiences. For now, these meetings will happen twice a month, I'm thinking, but they'll be for about a couple of hours. And I'm launching these meetings here on this platform because I feel it's the right time to at least test it. Entry fees are going to be based on donation because there's a very specific interest in not pursuing wealth, and also because I want you to be able to pay whatever you feel they are worth. So together we'll decide how long this journey together is going to last. And I'll be creating different sessions every time with different inspirations and themes, and you'll decide when to come and for how long you want to stick around based on where you want to go with your project or your personal journey. So if you're interested in receiving information about this meeting, some angels behind the scene are going to now share a link with you. And in this link, you can, in the chat room, and with this link, you can sign up and stay in touch, and I can let you know when these meetings are going to start. So, design better, to me, means design. Center around the act of designing for all aspects of sustainability and through spirituality. I believe, and many scholars also support this view, that spirituality is not only part of every human being, but should be purposefully pursued by designers specifically. Not only because as creators of new propositions, we have a responsibility to what we create, but also because creativity itself is the very essence of spirituality.
We've replaced beauty with what money can purchase. I think we really need to wash our eyes. Just look at the world and see how beautiful simple things are.
With this, I conclude my presentation, and I thank you for listening to me. And let me say, it's okay if you don't agree with everything that I've said. It's really okay. My intention for this presentation was to make you think, to shake things inside. And those who did resonate with it, to them I say hi, and I look forward to a journey together. Before I leave, allow me please to give the biggest thank you to the organizers of this conference, and specifically to Antonio, Chas, Andrea, and Juan, with whom I have interacted personally. You guys are the best. This event has a huge value for this community. And believe me, guys, these people are not working for wealth. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And to all of you, again, thank you for listening. Be kind to one another, and may the force be with you. Thank you.
Thanks to you, Francesca. Fantastic. I am, as many designers on the other side of the screen might be, moved by your not new message. Thanks for sharing it with us. It has been beautiful to see how a concept that we have been reading before from your research about minimalism and sustainability has been evolving and crafted to what you shared with us today. So thank you again. And it's a beautiful way of concluding the morning and closing this first part of the event. We thank you all, also the ones that have been here during the morning or part of the morning, and wait for you after some food. Now we had food for thought. We need food for the body also. So we aim you to eat and enjoy your food, as this conference is all about. We're gonna close and see you later.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Francesca.